The tragic and senseless church shooting in Minnesota has shaken the state to its core, leaving a community grieving and a political landscape transformed. In the wake of the devastating event, a broad and often bipartisan coalition of politicians has taken a unified stance, demanding immediate legislative action on gun control. This tragedy has not only highlighted the vulnerability of public spaces, but has also amplified a long-standing debate, forcing lawmakers to confront an issue that has, for years, remained a flashpoint of political division. The demand for new legislation reflects a collective sentiment that the current laws are insufficient to protect citizens from a seemingly endless cycle of gun violence. The primary reason for this renewed push for gun control is the shooting itself, a horrific act that brought the abstract issue of gun violence into sharp local focus. The sheer shock of a sanctuary being violated in such a way has created an emotional and political imperative for change. The consequences of the shooting are profound and multifaceted. On an immediate human level, the community is grappling with immense loss and trauma. The political consequences are equally significant, with the tragic event serving as a catalyst for legislative proposals that might have previously stalled. The public, fueled by a sense of grief and urgency, is exerting significant pressure on elected officials to move beyond thoughts and prayers and enact tangible policy. This has created a moment where lawmakers must choose between adhering to established political positions or responding to a powerful, unified call from their constituents for greater public safety. An analysis of the situation reveals a political dynamic that is more nuanced than a simple partisan divide. While Democrats are traditionally seen as the primary advocates for stricter gun laws, the response in Minnesota has seen some Republican leaders also expressing openness to reform, acknowledging the gravity of the situation. This bipartisan movement is primarily focused on two key areas of legislation. The first is universal background checks, which would close loopholes that allow private, non-dealer sales to occur without a check. Proponents argue this is a fundamental step to prevent firearms from falling into the hands of prohibited individuals. The second is the implementation of red flag laws, also known as Extreme Risk Protection Orders, ERPO, which would allow law enforcement or family members to petition a court for the temporary removal of firearms from individuals who pose a significant threat to themselves or others. This approach aims to intervene before a potential tragedy occurs. The challenge in passing such legislation lies in balancing the public's desire for safety with constitutional concerns about due process and the Second Amendment, a debate that has historically stalled similar efforts. Predicting the outcome of this political moment is difficult. It is highly likely that a bill will be introduced and debated in the state legislature in the near future. The emotional weight of the church shooting will undoubtedly provide momentum, but it will face fierce opposition from gun rights advocacy groups and some politicians who view the proposed laws as an infringement on constitutional rights. The final legislation, if passed, may not be as comprehensive as initial proposals. A likely outcome is a compromise bill that includes some form of expanded background checks, but perhaps with specific exemptions or carve-outs to gain broader support. The success of red flag laws will depend on how they are framed to address due process concerns, possibly by including robust judicial oversight. Ultimately, while the path is fraught with political hurdles, the collective grief and demand for action from a broad political spectrum suggests that some form of legislative change is more probable than not. The solutions being proposed extend beyond just background checks and red flag laws. Many lawmakers and advocates are also calling for increased funding for mental health services, recognizing that gun violence is often linked to underlying mental health crises. By making mental health care more accessible, they hope to address the root causes of violence and provide support to those who might be at risk. Community-based violence intervention programs, which use trained, credible messengers to mediate conflicts and prevent retaliation, are also being championed as an effective solution. These holistic approaches acknowledge that there is no single solution to the problem of gun violence, and that a multi-pronged strategy is necessary to create lasting change.